Very nice. Other side. Pull those fingertips back. And fingertips down. Very nice. Working on our flexors and our extensors and our forearms. Good. Now let's wiggle those fingers. We're going to take each finger and move it towards the thumb. So take your pointer to your thumb, middle to your thumb. Extend, open and close. All the way back. Take each finger, tap the thumb.
Good morning. I'm going to go ahead and call the June 28th, 2013 San Diego County Board of Supervisors regular meeting, Flood Control District meeting, and San Diego County Fire Protection District meeting to order. As a reminder, according to the board's rules and procedures, audience members shall not whistle, clap, stop feet, or anything that disrupts the proceedings. Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. Supervisor Anderson.
Here.
Supervisor Desmond.
Here.
Vice Chair Lawson-Remer. Chairwoman Vargas.
Vargas here. The first item on our order of business is to report actions that were taken yesterday in closed session. County Council, were there any reportable actions taken?
Good morning. The Board of Supervisors met in closed session on June 27th, 2023 from 2:05 p.m. to 4:36 p.m. The board took no reportable actions.
Thank you. We're now going to proceed with non-agenda public communications. This is an opportunity for the public to address the board on subject matters within the board's jurisdiction, but not an item on today's agenda. The only action that the board may take is referral to the Chief Administrative Officer. Reminder, according to Rule 4, members of the public that are non-English speaking and need interpretation assistance will get twice the allotted time for their comments, which is 4 minutes. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to take all speakers in person and all speakers via phone, and just do all of those items. And then the non-agenda public communications, we'll hear it after today's close of meeting. And so I'm going to turn it over to the clerk so he can call for the speakers.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We have 15 total requests to speak on matters not listed on the agenda, 1 in person, and 14 requesting to speak by phone. For those that requested to speak by phone, if you could please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We will begin with the in-person speakers, and as your name is called, if you could please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. You'll then have 2 minutes to address the board, and I would like to invite forward the following individual: April Strotter.
Good morning, supervisors. First, I want to thank you and your staff for addressing my voucher issue. However, it's been almost 60 days since I was last here, and I have issues that I still haven't been addressed. As a constituent in District 1, is it possible to set up a meeting with Nora or any other supervisor today or within the next week that can address my situation and circumstances?
Absolutely.
Thank you again. Thank you.
I'm going to have somebody from my team come back out here and find out what the status is, okay? And then
Okay, thank you, Nora.
Thank you. Now we will hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. Again, I'd like to remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking, and we will begin with our first caller.
Consuelo. Nora, please admit it wasn't the clapping. You had diarrhea and it had to go bad. So you used Paul and I to empty out. Anyways, listen, if you want respect, then show it to the public you claim to appreciate hearing from. It was clapping again, just as your bro, Nathan, used to do. It's you who's causing the interruptions in the chambers. The deputies are so over your petty ways. I know this. Anyways, you once stated at a SANDAG meeting, it's not the Nora show. Right. It's Circus Vargas. And you keep acting like a clown. In America, not Tijuana, but in America, clapping is a constitutional right. I want to remind the people listening that there was a SANDAG meeting last Friday, and Vargas had admitted that the VMT that will affect us all is not about carbon emissions. So that means whether you drive a gas guzzler or a piece of shit electric car, you will still be limited in your driving. See, it's not about keeping the planet green. It's about keeping you, us, all under control. And that's what yesterday's spectacle was about as well. She wants to act like Queen Bee and like this is Mexico or China or North Korea. But guess what? This is America where people are the strongest. So just watch out. Watch what you're doing and be mindful the next time you interrupt a meeting.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
Paul Henkin. As a member of the California Area Resources Board, I'd like to ask Nora, why does CARB not track all 8 greenhouse gases? I see only carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, and methane in its monitoring website. Also, their monitoring stations are in the Central Valley or the coastal mountains, not near the populated areas like San Diego, LA, or the Bay Area. And it would be better, I think, to have the stations closer to where the pollution actually is, or better and more relevant to read at the current time, not at the time the less constructed stuff reaches one of the distant stations. As I said last September, the most abundant greenhouse gases in the Earth's atmosphere are water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, ozone, CFCs and HFCs, that is chlorofluorocarbons and hydrofluorocarbons, and don't forget perfluorocarbons. CARB can measure all of the GHGs if they're really serious about the environment. Not that they are, but CFCs, HFCs, and PFCs are all over, poisonous to the environment, yet they're industrial, so I guess no one wants to take the fall for cleaning them up. It's not very follow the science. And Nora, you need to tell the Grata and the Syndag to stop pestering us with plants to get at our money when it wastes and abuses it and doesn't need it for its projects, which are really urban planning and not transportation planning as they should be. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Terry Ann Skelly. I'm a mother of 3 adult sons for whom I advocate as a public health educator and a youth group mentor. I attend my county planning meetings as well. This week, Dawn, Drug Abuse Warning Network, released their findings regarding drug-related emergency department visits for the year 2022. They found that the rates for cannabis-related emergency room visits were the highest in the demographic group of 18 to 25-year-olds, and considerably higher for males, which is the reason why I'm speaking today. It is disheartening for parents that there's a county proposal to increase the number of marijuana businesses in our beloved backcountry communities. This pushing marijuana businesses on us, whether we want them or not, makes parents feel almost defenseless. Our planning group doesn't want them, nor did any other planning groups ask for them. There seems to be no understanding that it is the high concentrated THC marijuana products that are the best sellers at pot shops. Parents struggle to be heard, just like we did 10 years ago when OxyContin rolled onto the scene, which has now morphed into a fentanyl epidemic. Back then, for nearly 3 years, parents spoke about young adult use, abuse, and addiction to OxyContin before it captured the county's attention and the prescription drug abuse task force was formed. Now is not the time to enable more marijuana in the county. The county shouldn't end up behind the curve in drug use problems as they were 10 years ago. Thank you for hearing my concerns this morning.
Thank you. We will go to our next caller.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. I'm Nancy Logan. I work in public health, especially on smoking and vaping prevention and education programs. Through my work, I am well aware of the health inequities that are created by smoking and vaping and secondhand smoke and vapor. I am dismayed by the idea that the county wants more marijuana storefronts whose big sellers are marijuana vapes. One of the reasons the county gives as the reason for more pot shops in the county is to diminish illegal marijuana businesses. I am most concerned that anyone would believe this myth. Every piece of evidence that's coming from the state agencies, data collecting sources, and major media indicate that the black market is flourishing. Often the black market marijuana businesses just use the permitted process as a cover to continue their unpermitted activities. Across the state, an honest look shows that permitting marijuana businesses has only fanned the flames of the illegal marijuana marketplace. We have marijuana businesses insiders speaking out with the truth behind the industry, admitting to have two identities. As they described in a recent media outlet, marijuana businesses are, quote, basically subsidizing their white market with their black market, unquote. The County of San Diego should not increase the number of marijuana businesses under some false notion that the black market will decrease. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We will go to our next caller.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. This is Ann Riddle. I came today because I wanted to share some information from the Department of Cannabis Control. I began attending 2 years ago their community advisory meeting and have followed their media releases. And the one that I found most interesting happened in November of 2022 after the election, when we passed Proposition 34, or SB 793, which banned the sale of flavored tobacco products. As it turns out, it also applies to candy-flavored marijuana products that are inhaled. And so the Department of Cannabis Control put out a press release reminding marijuana businesses, those who sell and those who manufacture, that they must not sell or manufacture any marijuana products that are inhaled, which most are, that have candy flavors. And the press release goes on to describe these flavors, and they're pretty much as you would expect, menthol and mint and a variety of fruit and candy flavors. I mention this to you because there's been assessments going on in the county and in the city of San Diego regarding the operating or the permitted pot shops, regarding the removal of these items from their shelves. It has not happened at all. They are not obeying this memo that came out from the State Department. Two things occur to me. One, do we have in the county the capacity to go into our operating pot shops and tell them to remove those products? And two, do we understand that the Department of Cannabis Control does not have, nor ever has had since its formation, any capacity to enforce state laws? Thank you for letting me share this important information to the health of our youth and our families.
Thank you. We will go to our next caller.
Good morning. This is Peggy Walker. Earlier speakers referred to the problem of vapes and flavored inhaled smoke products, and that they are not being removed from shelves, even though banned. And now the AP reports that those products must attract youth to teens, flavored vapes and e-cigarettes, are pouring into the U.S. just by the thousands, despite an FDA crackdown on fruity flavors. The number of e-cigarette devices has nearly tripled, despite a 3-year effort by the FDA to crack down on kid-friendly flavors. The rise in electronic cigarettes has been almost entirely driven by a wave of cheap disposable devices imported from China, pouring in by the thousands. The trend underscores the FDA's inability to control the tumultuous vaping market that previously was dominated by Juul and other reusable cigarettes. And now these are filtering into our communities, regardless of local flavor bans. This points to the huge problem of failure of enforcement of laws intended to protect young people against highly concentrated THC products. I would ask that you become aware of this issue, and I ask you to do what the city can to tighten and control local enforcement efforts to stop this trend. Thank you.
Thank you. We will go to our next caller.
I echo what Consuelo was saying. It's a bunch of shenanigans, and you are just in line with Nathan Fletcher. And people need to be paying attention to Sandag and these charges that are coming down the pipe, because the state also has a road usage charge that's coming down the pipe. So then you wonder, are we going to have a county and a state one? What? How cool would that be? Neat. And I wanted to let you guys know, because you're probably not aware of the catastrophic contagion coming our way. That was the exercise that Johns Hopkins did in addition to Event 201. I feel like that one sounds a little bit more scary than Event 201, so good on them, right? Because they really were saying that, you know, people didn't pay attention when it was like older people dying. This time it's going to be, you know, young children and little kids. And, you know, that way people will probably pay attention this time and really listen to what the world and the UN are going to be laying down with this global health, you know, treaty, so that we all have to do the same thing. And they're going to use children this time. Good on them. But yeah, Bill Gates, he's so good, right? And he's a whole part of this. And it's like, he's so smart, because he said that if vaccines work, then there'll be less people, right? And look what's happening. He is so right. I mean, can you believe it? It is so amazing how well that they can determine what the future holds. And it's like, no wonder they want us to take the vaccines. There'll be less people. It's just, right? I mean, it wouldn't be that if their vaccines work, there would be more people because they're saving lives. I mean, that would be the most ridiculous thing you could ever hear. So I look forward to this catastrophic contagion that you and your handlers are going to be putting forward upon the people of this earth. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And then at that point, just realize you won't have any control what happens, but it'll be okay, right? I'm sure many children you know will perish because of the people that you're engaging with are putting this kind of stuff down on the people, and you are in bed with them.
Thank you. Your time is up. And to note for the record, that was Audra. We will go to our next caller.
Good morning, Chair Vargas and Supervisors. My name is Becky Rapp, and I come to speak to you today out of concern for the detrimental impact tobacco sales as well as marijuana sales are having on our county, specifically the negative environmental impacts and the threat of secondhand smoke. We've made great progress in educating the public on the harms of tobacco smoke. But when it comes to marijuana smoke, we could do better. There are misconceptions that marijuana smoke is not harmful. But according to the American Non-Smokers' Rights Foundation, smoke is smoke. Regardless of the device or the description, secondhand marijuana smoke contains hundreds of chemicals similar to tobacco smoke. These chemicals are toxic and contain hazardous particles, posing significant health risks. Marijuana is now the most commonly vaped substance in San Diego, especially among teens. The product was once a plant with mildly intoxicating effects, but now with genetically engineered products accompanied by highly intoxicating synthetic chemicals, today they bear no resemblance. These chemicals enter the body and cause short and long-term harm. I encourage you to recognize what messaging residents, especially young people, are receiving. Billboards and advertisements depict marijuana as a healthy lifestyle. I think it's only fair residents receive counter messaging explaining the damaging effects and toxic chemicals they're potentially putting into their bodies. Thank you.
Thank you. We will go to our next caller.
Hello, this is Kelly McCormick. I'm a public health educator with a focus on drug use prevention by youth. I would like to draw your attention to the land and dollars the county is dedicating to behavioral health services and suicide prevention. Last week, the county broke ground on a $15 million resource center in Ramona for behavioral health services and child welfare services. The county is investing in mobile behavioral health response units and spending millions to tackle homelessness. Earlier this month, we learned that San Diego County was chosen for a youth suicide prevention pilot program because our county has the second highest rate of youth suicides in the state from 2018 to 2020. Marijuana use before the age of 25 is known to increase the rate of suicide and suicidal ideation. There are numerous peer-reviewed studies confirming the negative mental health impacts of youth marijuana use. The county medical examiner has reported that 39% of people under 25 who took their own lives in the last reporting cycle had THC in their systems. Given these facts, why would the county consider approving additional marijuana retail outlets? Not all, but many of the unhoused struggle with addiction and mental health issues. Why make all of these problems worse by normalizing and commercializing drug use? Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. We will go to our next speaker.
Resistance runs through my veins. This is truth. County camera crew, we don't need a super close-up of any speaker. It's very obvious that the point was to block Dorian's papers in the background, but I think the close-ups are actually more distracting, so I request an end to any more extreme close-ups. Now, Nora, there's a lot I look forward to talking to you about one of these days. But publicly, I have to say that kicking at least Paul out of the chambers yesterday was totally wrong. First, you gave Paul a second warning, but never a first. I was sitting right near him, and he never clapped either. And in general, he was not disruptive. And even the third warning to Consuelo was not set into a hot mic, so the public couldn't even hear it. Now, I know, Nora, that you and Consuelo are seemingly natural-born enemies, but there needs to be civility with the imposition of the guidelines, Nora. Maybe you should have reminded them that you said that snapping fingers is okay in the chambers. I'd recommend that next time, because we don't need any more news coverage of censorship in the chambers. But I'm glad, Nora, that you allowed Leon Binnell to speak, because he ended up providing some very interesting information about the IBWC plant dropping sewage into the ocean. That's something to look into. All right, now let's talk about Nicola Nick Machione. In 2021, he made over $309,000 a year, not including benefits. And yesterday, he got a proclamation celebrating the destruction he's wreaked upon the county. I see that as getting a ribbon for participation in the data-driven deception circus show. Also, I found out that Paul Bonanna is a Truth fan, so shout out to him. What else can I say? It was good you dealt with April's situation there, or at least pretended to, because she said it's been 3 months and nothing's happened. But reminder, that's government speed. Good luck. It could be 3 years. It could be 30 years. I don't know if you know about the housing wait. Tends to be 8 to 10 years.
Thank you. Your time is up. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this morning.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes, statement, and proceedings for the regular meeting of June 14, 2023, and the Fire Protection District meeting of June 13, 2023. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Is there a second? Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
And Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Okay. At this point, let me ask the clerk to introduce an off-the-docket item for an emergency storm drain repair for consideration today. Clerk, can you proceed?
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. Before we go through the consent calendar, it'd be appropriate to consider off-docket item number 1. Copies have been provided to the board, and we also have copies available for the public at the front of the chamber. This is for off-agenda consideration of the San Diego County Flood Control District's ratification of the award of an emergency contract. The San Diego County Flood Control District owns and operates drainage systems throughout the unincorporated county to provide for the safe and efficient transport of water. An existing corrugated metal storm drain pipe in the Bonita area, which passes through the Caltrans and District Rights Off-Way, collapsed, resulting in a sinkhole that threatens public safety and adjacent property. The failure was identified and documented on June 12, 2023. Since that time, the area has been cordoned off, and the district began investigating the cause of the failure and developing a repair plan. Yesterday, on June 26, 2023, the sinkhole began expanding, compromising an adjacent carport, which was subsequently cordoned off in order to stabilize the situation and resolve the imminent and continued threat to public safety. The district has halted investigative efforts and moved to award an emergency public works contract on June 27, 2023. In accordance with Public Contract Code Section 22050, work has commenced on the emergency contract. The Public Contract Code requires the board to review the action within 7 days or no more than 14 days at regularly scheduled meeting. The next regularly scheduled board meeting will take place on July 18, 2023, more than 2 weeks after the emergency contract was awarded. Taking action to ratify the emergency contract at this meeting complies with the requirement of Public Code Contract and is within the board's authority to direct in accordance with Government Code Section 54954.2, Section B2. It would be appropriate at this time for the board to adopt findings to place the item on the agenda.
With that, I'm happy to make a motion.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We'll open up for public comment. Oh,
Yeah, it's just to place it on the agenda, Chairwoman.
okay, sorry. All right, there we go. So we please vote. Then we have public comment.
Yep. And Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present. So off-docket item number 1 is added to the Flood Control District agenda as item 2 for today and may be placed on the consent calendar. And then we will take public comment on the consent calendar for that item as well.
Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and proceed with the formation of the consent calendar. Item 1, 2, 3, fire protection. Item 1, and Flood Control District. And item 2 that was just added to the agenda. Members of the public will be able to comment on the consent calendar after the supervisors pull any of the items they would like for discussion. And so I'm going to ask my colleague, Supervisor Anderson.
Nothing. Thank you.
Okay, Supervisor Desmond.
Thank you, Chair. I have nothing to pull. I'll make a motion for the acceptance of the consent calendar, and I'd like to just talk briefly about item 3. I want to say thank you very much to the PDS staff for helping to bring this item forward. Borrego Springs and their surrounding communities benefit greatly from the air ambulance service out of the Borrego Medical Clinic. However, the current authorization for the helicopter service from Caltrans is only a temporary permit. So I'm presenting this item to allow Caltrans, because we as a board have to agree, for Caltrans to issue a permanent air operations out of that heliport in clinic. So ensuring continued ambulance air service not only save lives in the rural and the backcountry communities of North County, but it's also going to be a benefit to anyone in potential accident or needs of emergency services right away. So for that, I'm submitting that, and I appreciate my colleagues' support. Thank you.
All right, seeing none, let's go ahead and go to public comment.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We have 5 total requests to speak on items on the consent calendar. No individuals in person, so all 5 requests are coming via phone. For any members of the public that have requested to speak on the items on the consent calendar, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We will now hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. Again, when it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. Again, I'd just like to remind the callers that they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking, and we will begin with our first caller.
Hi, Blair Beekman here. This is now my second county meeting. I'm not fully read up on exactly the items that will be on consent calendar approval today, but one of them is about street lighting issues that oddly it seems it's going to be funding somehow by private sources. I'm not exactly sure, but I felt it was important to mention street lighting concepts. There's another item about traffic issues that may be related. The property owner paid assessments and a portion of countywide property tax revenue assessment. So for streetlight issues overall, the city of San Diego is working a lot on their smart streetlight program. I hope that you're wanting to practice accountable practices with streetlight issues, and that we're entering a new era of how to talk about accountability for our technology that we use. We've come from an era where government does not talk about their technology with their community, or just on a need-to-know basis. And we're developing a way that tech can be simply more open and accountable. And we have good public policies and practices in place to talk about the contracts with all the, and subcontracts with all the technology companies. That information is going to learn to start to become more accessible. And that's difficult to learn how to do. Good luck in the process of learning how to do that and wanting to share. We're not in an age of war anymore. We're in an age of open democracy and participatory democracy, and that shouldn't have to be feared. And there's guidelines and practices to make it a safe, good process for all of us that's interesting and hopeful. And I think a real definition of sustainability for our future and ideas of peace and not war, basically.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next caller.
Good morning, Chair Vargas and Supervisors. This is David Garman. I am the president of the Borrego Valley Endowment Fund. For nearly 30 years, the Endowment Fund has served as the nonprofit fundraising arm supporting the Borrego Medical Clinic and other medically related services in Borrego Springs, including the helicopter air ambulance. I'm here this morning to voice full support for making permanent the air ambulance operations at the Borrego Medical Clinic. Borrego Springs sits in the middle of the 1,000 square mile Anza Borrego Desert State Park, and as such is one of the more remote communities in the county. Borrego Springs does not have an emergency room or an urgent care facility. By car or ambulance, we're more than an hour away from the nearest emergency medical services. Our helicopter air ambulance dramatically reduces the time for critically ill or injured individuals to receive life-saving emergency medical care. And for this reason, Borrego Springs strongly supports making our air ambulance operations permanent. Thank you, Supervisor Desmond, for bringing this issue to the board's attention.
Thank you, and we will go to our next speaker.
Consuelo, right on, Blair. Yes, they do not talk about technology with their constituents or anything for that matter. In their eyes, the less the public knows, the better for them to be able to carry out their tasks for the United Nations Agenda 2030, because that's everything. That's what's going on. So they're trying to do all they can right now while the public is distracted, fluoridated, consumed, stressed the fuck out, and they are able to carry on all these things while we're, while the public is not paying attention. But anyways, also wanted to address what Truth had to say. Nora's not my enemy, girl. Wrinkles are. And I will do anything to avoid wrinkles.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
Good one, Consuelo. But that is true. That's what they're doing. They're pushing us into this whole, globalist agenda, 15-minute cities. Good way to do that is to make sure everybody has no money. Because it's like you guys get these billions of dollars, right, of ours to spend on the county. And it goes to all of this bull crap, like, the climate and preserving land, that we can't even, keep all of these, entities going without charging the people more. I mean, gosh, it's so crazy to think that those billions of dollars would be able to provide basic services for people that you're saying that we have to have, but then if you want it, we're going to have to charge you more. And it's quite interesting because there is a bunch of smart technology coming around. And in the city there of San Diego, they still have those smart street lights that the police were so upset about that they needed to replace with their new street lights with ALPR. Those are still working. oh, well, they tell people that they don't work anymore and they're not collecting data. Then you hear them say that they are later, right? And so, you know, it's like, which one is it? Do they need to be removed? Like, all this money gets spent doing all of this stuff to basically enslave us. And you guys know there's a recession coming, even though we're like in it. Well, this kind of stuff doesn't help. I mean, and then if they don't pay these, oh my gosh, you can take their home. Oh, what? Yes, you can take their home if they don't pay this. But I mean, that's okay, because then you guys can buy up the land. Like Sandag wants to go up and buy up all the cheap property right now, right? So that everybody's, you know, property taxes go up and they displace a bunch of people. But I mean, as long as they're going to put in 25% affordable housing, that's going to make a difference. Gosh, you guys' plans are so good. You're doing very well. I think that the UN is very impressed with you guys because we are a leader in all this stuff. I mean, Nora, you got to.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next caller.
Paul Henkin. Item 2 levies, 2% increase for special tax A is great, especially for construction and maintenance. 2% for special tax B is also great for operations and maintenance. But 2% increase for fire protection district, special tax C, is a bit much, coming after its decision to jack up developer fees in East County to exorbitant levels. Does the fire protection district really need all that money too? The decision to raise the tax rate in Otay Mesa 9% for special tax fee is way out of line with cost and inflation. The voters need to weigh in on this, and you should recalculate. Is every penny really necessary? Item 1, landscape zone 1's 3% increase seems reasonable, but I'm happy for the residents of zone 2 who have no increase. Maybe they can get together and make an agreement for one rate, reduce zone 1's tax bit. And item 3, thanks, Jim. I think that this will give confidence to Borrego Springs residents that their air ambulance won't get taken away suddenly. Good move. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
It's truth first. This is a constitutional republic, not a democracy, Beekman. Also, what are wrinkles? I haven't figured that out yet. Item 1, special districts have the debt bonds and taxes for things like streetlights, landscaping, and Jess Martin Park. Item 2, the county's community facility district functions as mini corporations to facilitate check collection for public services. Property owners within the district are lucky enough to get to pay ever-increasing taxes or levies to cover these services. And that's because no government has any money until we give it to them. Remember, nothing's free. So the Harmony Grove Village of 736 dwellings will see property and taxes increase for improvement area number 1 by about $343 per house, and by about $141 more per house for area number 2. The Horse Creek Ridge in Fallbrook of 741 dwellings will see property and taxes increase by about $23 per house. The Sweetwater Place in Spring Valley of 122 dwellings will see property taxes increase by about $66 per house. Meadowwood and Fallbrook of 844 dwellings will see property taxes increase by about $370 per house. Park Circle and Valley Center of 322 dwellings will see property taxes increase by about $208 per house. Piper Otay and East Otay Mesa Business Park 1 will see property taxes increase by a total of about $1,300. So because I hate math and budgets, someone should double check those numbers. Then check to see if they're in line with the inflationary rate, because I seriously doubt it. And item 3 is a permanent helipad for air ambulance service to the Borrego Springs areas. That's actually not bad. That's great. But down to boring and expensive fees and up with freedom, and also up with political signs. You can't have too many of those. Overall, I don't want.
Thank you. Your time is up. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on the items on the consent calendar.
And the motion, any additional comments from my colleagues? All right, seeing none, let's go ahead and take a vote.
And Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Thank you. All right, the next item will be to item number 4, which is notice public hearing confirmation of levies for mosquito vector disease control benefit assessment and mosquito abatement and vector control service charge for fiscal year 23-24. Can you please call the speakers from the public?
Thank you, Chairman Vargas. We have 5 total requests to speak, all coming via phone. I'd also like to note for the record, we did receive 1 e-comment on this item in opposition. For any members of the public that have requested to speak on this item by phone, if you could please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you, and we will give you a moment to do so. Now we will hear from those that have requested to speak via phone. When it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. Again, I'd like to remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking, and we will begin with our first caller.
Consuelo. So as far as repelling these mosquitoes, I really hope that you guys aren't going to be using some toxic stuff. There's a lot of natural things out there. Are we talking about mosquitoes, right? Hello? Just say yes or no.
Yes, we
I'm
are.
a taxpayer. Okay, got it. Great, thank you. So there are natural things out there. There's vanilla, there's peppermint, there's essential oils that can be used. So just please stop, killing the people with toxic stuff left and right. We're already bombarded with our water, with our air, everything else. Do the people a favor. I can give you information on this. I swear, I'll do that. But just, stop poisoning us, please.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Paul Hennigan. Yes, as Consuelo pointed out, there are a lot better ways to treat these mosquitoes and vectors. That is the natural stuff, peppermint, vanilla, and stop poisoning the entire environment for things you don't have to poison everything for. An 8.7% tax increase when the rate was kept constant since FY 2019 to 20 by applying savings and through efforts to maximize efficiencies and streamline operations, begs the question, why cannot these efforts continue and save us a buck or two? We are owed an explanation, not just more bureaucracy. The board also seems to like us to keep us in fear, in this case by adding INET to the list of pests. Can you tell these from a regular gnat? Or not just say all insects and animals are capable of spreading disease? Who wants to go to Betty singling out the most dangerous pest, or perhaps being bitten by the less dangerous ones? Go for it. Thanks.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
And this one is so smart because you guys have to increase the rate because of salary increases. So imagine the people that haven't got a salary increase are basically giving it to these people. How cool is that? You guys are so smart. But I'm just wondering, you know, what kind of health plan these people are going to have spraying these toxins, you know, and like how does that affect the earth? Probably not, right? We don't care about the environment here. Why would we care if they're spraying toxic chemicals upon the earth? That would be, I mean, that would be dumb if we paid attention to things like that. I mean, or even like Bill Gates, you know, releasing genetically modified mosquitoes into California. Oh my gosh. So it's a no wonder that you want to, you know, do this. But I'm just wondering is like, do insects not have their own role in the environment? Like even flies, I mean, they pollinate flowers. I mean, who would have thought of that? They don't just like poop. It's probably why they're around you guys all the time. It might be a issue. But, you know, vectors in this whole animal to human, I was wondering because, like, my dogs have fleas. I was wondering if you guys have some kind of spray that I could take because I'm really concerned that I'm going to get them and it's going to be just out of control. So if we can just look into that, that would be good. But, yeah, you know, spraying toxins instead of using, like, natural things on the earth is way smarter. And, you know, not paying attention to what Bill Gates is doing with those mosquitoes, you know, or the new catastrophic contagion coming your way. It's good. I love it, but like, you know, just have people spend more money, you know, just because these people got a raise. So it's like, take the money from the other people because, I mean, we should be paying for, well, we already are paying for their raise, right? So we may as well pay more just so they can get that raise. And, you know, gosh, yeah, I'm just really proud of you guys today. You're doing a fantastic job. And I got a call from the UN, and they're giving us another award.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next caller.
Blair Beekman, I pass. I want to speak on item 5. I'm waiting for that item. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ernest Truth, the Department of Environmental Health and Quality's Vector Control Program collects taxes through the Mosquito Abatement and Vector Control Service Charge and the Mosquito Vector and Disease Control Benefit Assessment. I'm happy to define the benefit assessment for them. There is no benefit with poison. DEHQ is spraying toxic larvicides all over the county, including right now, tomorrow, on July 19th and 20th, August 9th and 10th, August 30th and 31st, and on September 20th and 21st. They claim that nothing's harmful to people or animals, but anyone can read the safety data sheet on DHAQ's use of 4-star, which has a carcinogenicity level 2 that is harmful if inhaled and may cause damage to organs. That info is right on the county's aerial larvicide application website, so no lie. And people are going to be charged $9.10, an increase of 8.7%, so that DEHQ will collect $11.1 million to keep things like the larvicide program. It's very obvious that no one really cares about the environment. Poisons turn the bugs into superbugs as they become more and more resistant with each new generation, and especially the genetically modified ones. DEHQ plans to utilize $2.4 million in available savings from the Vector Control District Trust Fund. Why do they have so much in savings? The item says, quote, if the benefit assessment and service charge are not approved and one-time alternative county funding of $13.5 million is not identified, then VCP would not be able to provide service, end quote. Sounds like the problem is the solution. Another program we can eliminate, just like Sandag, useless, costing us tons and tons of our money and not providing a good service, only bad service that's toxic to our lives and to the environment. Hypocrisy, as usual, and corruption business as usual as well.
Thank you. Your time is up. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on this item.
Thank you. Do any of my colleagues have any comments? Would you like to make a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Please vote.
And Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present, voting aye.
All right, next item on the agenda is item number 5. Can we please call the speakers from the public?
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We have 5 total requests to speak, all coming via phone. I'd also like to note for the record, we did receive 1 e-comment on this item, which was in opposition. For any members of the public that have requested to speak on this item by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We will now hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. Again, when it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted. You will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. And again, I'd like to remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. And we will begin with our first caller.
Hi, Blair Beekman here. For item 5, these are about stormwater drain issues, and San Diego County, the city of San Diego, and major cities of California right now, they're receiving really important federal funding dollars for these stormwater fix-it repair issues. It's a really interesting time, actually. It's kind of a speech I'm making at public comments around the places I speak at public comment time, just to kind of tune everyone in. I'm actually, I can do this job well, actually, for once. That there's a way that I think, as these federal funding dollars are taking place, it's interesting, at least like in places like San Jose, they've had difficulties talking more openly about sea level rise issues and such. And these federal dollars are making it easier for them to do that now. There is a problem that in San Jose that they are using these dollars for kicking people out of homeless encampments along creek areas because they need to do new water quality work around the creeks and such. And down here in San Diego, if they're doing that, at least in San Jose, they're trying to find housing for those people, and they're working on the issue. I hope in San Diego you can do the same thing if that is taking place down here, and just to get yourselves aware of that and to understand that, and that law enforcement dollars used for these federal funding dollars should be questioned. And hopefully this can make a way to openly question that and to have good support services available for people if you are kicking them out of the river areas. Sorry, thanks a lot for hearing.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next caller.
Hi, Paul Henkin. This whole thing is, unfair. Why is McGee Road in Palma Valley assigned an $800 tax per year, and the rest of the valley is only assigned to $120? It is outrageous that this tax results in charges from $263 to $1,995 per year just for 6 special districts. Speak of equity, I mean, you should be ashamed of the hypocrisy. I think it is unconscionable that you charge tax rates on a street-by-street, neighborhood-by-neighborhood basis, and I hope this doesn't contribute to the homeless or affordability problem, but I suspect it will. Thanks for hearing me.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
Right, Paul? Oh my gosh, it is so good. I mean, there is smartness going around everywhere today. Levies to reduce admin costs. That is right. I mean, as long as we're reducing the costs of what you guys are doing, good on you. I mean, who cares if it goes on the backs of the people that are suffering? I mean, why would that make a difference? And what is so great about this, I mean, not only is it equitable, right? I mean, fair and just all around. What's so great about it is that this whole thing that you're pushing with the density and stuff like that, right? Now these people that are like playing the game and they're, you know, adding property to their homes, you're going to charge them more money. Oh, it's so great. But I wonder if like that incentive you gave them will maybe cover up for that. Who knows? But it's very intelligent, you know, to push people into a new way of life and then punitively tax them for following the game. I mean, exactly what you guys want, right? I mean, exactly what your handlers want, and you're doing. So, I mean, goodness all around. I feel like everybody today deserves a gold star. And, again, I have some aged sewer water for everybody that I'll bring in next time because, I mean, just the stuff you guys are doing is off the charts fantastic. I mean, I want to do cartwheels, but I can't. I can't right now. As soon as maybe I heal, then I'll be able to. It depends. You know, with Gonzalez still there, I'm kind of worried he may beat another woman with you, Nora, you know, having the police go after the public like that. Oh, it's just like Nathan. Good job. I mean, I think he's probably really proud too. Gosh, and God's looking down on you guys, just, you know, shaking his head. Yeah, and just saying, wow, I have a place for you guys. It's so good. So, yeah, keep it up. And it's good. It'll be nice and sunny permanently where you're going. It'll feel like the sun. It'll be hot like that, but, you know, you'll just feel like you're sitting in the sun.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
This is Truth, and I'm hoping to move on up in the world at a faster rate than inflation. It's great that tax rates will remain the same in 44 of the 50 permanent road zones, but CRD Zone 6, Palma Valley's rate will increase to $120 annually. CRD Zone 8, Maggie Road and Palma Valley's rate will increase to $800 annually. CRD Zone 106, Garrison Way and El Cajon's rate will increase to $600 annually. CRD Zone 117, Legend Rock and Hidden Meadows will increase by $1,586 per parcel. CRD Zone 133, Ranch Creek Road and Valley Center's rate will increase by $1,994 annually. CRD Zone 1017 and Ramona's rate will increase by $554 annually. The excuse for the last three increases is, of course, inflation. But for some reason, it's based on the Los Angeles CCI for 2022. My question is,
why? What's the significance? I don't know.
I looked up Los Angeles CCI and found a company called CCI Inc., who does roundtables for CEOs and boards. It's basically a think tank, but I still don't know the significance. All I know is that this is yet another item increasing people's cost of living. And that contributes to people either more likely to become homeless or more likely to move the heck out of California. Path we're on is really the road to nowhere, so I say it's time to course correct. Join the good side and avoid the incoming downward spiral. You'll be reported with pizza at the least. If not, then my question's going to remain the same.
Why? What's the significance? I don't know.
You guys better start figuring things out because you're going to suffer like all the rest of us, these fees and inflation and debt and everything else that you have allowed.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next caller.
Right, Truth, Consuelo, this is Consuelo. Right, Truth, all designed to keep the public guessing and confused, all of it. They tax the heck out of people. Yeah, we know where we're headed. You will own nothing and you will be happy. And that goes for you staffers too, you deputies too. We're all going that direction. You are not in a safe place. You are not protected, but you're just, you know, going about, you're just following orders. That's what you're doing. But yeah, so more taxes, more, you know, people on the streets, more chaos, and that's what they want. They want chaos because they create the chaos. And when you have so much chaos, you will be begging government to come in and take full control. That's what they want. That's what they're headed for. So, yeah, what else do I have to say? What else?
Next year for this. They'll have to raise the taxes next year for all the complaints about having to pay $800 when your neighbor's paying $120.
That was me. He identifies as Consuelo. I'm done.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on this item.
Oh, my goodness.
And just to note for the record, item 5 is being heard concurrently with Fire Protection District item 2 and Flood Control District item 1.
Thank you. All right. With that, I'm happy to make a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion from my colleagues? All right. Seeing none, please vote.
And Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Okay, thank you. So the next item on the agenda is item number 6. It's a discussion on the Traffic Advisory Committee and related CEQA exceptions. Let's go ahead. This is a second reading of an ordinance unless ordinance is modified on second reading, right? So why don't we go ahead and turn it over to public comment.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We have 4 total requests to speak, all coming via phone. I'd also like to note for the record, we did not receive any e-comments on this item. For any members of the public that have requested to speak on this item by phone, if you could please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We will now hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. Again, when it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I would like to remind the callers again, they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking, and we will begin with our first caller.
Hi, Blair Beekman. Item 6 is about a traffic advisory committee and related CEQA exemption to adopt recommendations, including introducing an ordinance, second reading of an ordinance, a funding source, state highway user tax account things. I wanted to comment that as a traffic advisory committee, just an overall broad comment that they work on concepts of complete streets, I would imagine, and the future of Vision Zero at a county level. Just a reminder in the important work that I'm doing with tech accountability that it's a process of not, wanting to end the future use of technology. It's learning how to be more accountable about the tech we use, and to simply note how you talk about tech in public spaces. It's important to understand that, and that we can improve upon that. And that I think there's a real way that public safety, bicycle safety questions can really work hand in hand with the future of tech accountability. And when you do that, that's building the sustainable future. That's building Vision Zero and ideas of community harmony. So I think there's something really interesting and hopeful that I just wanted to be able to remind yourselves of. And it's so hopeful that I think that previous items about, say, mosquito vectoring and mosquito control, this work allows questions of accountability to be asked in other fields, like mosquito control and stuff. We can now better ask what's going on in those fields. Good public comment on that. You can now directly ask your city government more direct questions, and it can be an easier, more accessible process. That's participatory democracy in action, and good luck how that process can grow. It can be trusted.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next caller.
Okay, so I have some really good pointers for getting us into these 15-minute cities a lot quicker, you guys, because I think that we're just not going quick enough. I think what you need to do is actually reduce the speed even more. I think maybe 10 miles an hour, maybe 5. That would be good. And then also, it's like as we're sitting here, going to charge cars for, how much, they drive and stuff like that. I mean, I think we should start, charging people for how much they walk. and also for a breathing charge, because it's like if they're going to be taking up fresh air, I think that we need to be charging them for it, because it's not, you know, equitable unless we do. And then also a methane releasing charge. So, you know, I think we could probably track that with the satellites. And so you could, you know, just then charge the person with their phone and say, you know what, you can't go into the store today because there's too much methane being released from you. And maybe they breathed too much fresh air, and it hasn't been equitable for everybody. So I just feel that those would be good things. And I think there's something else. What else could there be? I don't know. I mean, people wasting their sewage, that could be one too. It's like if you're not capturing that and making sure you're recycling it, then we need to definitely have a very bad, like high punitive tax for that. And I just want you guys to know I'm doing my part, okay? I mean, and so if you'd like any more, I'll bring you guys some more tips on how we can get into these, you know, 15-minute cities quicker. But right now, you guys are doing a really good job. And I think that this cost of this whole thing being $8,340, you've already upped the price on that, because, you know, they used to be about $4,500, I think. So good job. Next time, you could probably make it up in the 10,000 range. And I don't think anybody would really notice. So, and also, I mean, I would just start charging to come in.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next caller.
Waiting to escape the lies, the lonely road of wit's end. It's the truth. Speaking of roads to nowhere, I still say that the Traffic Advisory Committee should just be eliminated. Nora doesn't want us driving, or at least she learned about low-emission zones while she was in Barcelona, getting orders from the United Nations about what to implement here in San Diego. Well, it's not a crowd that wants behavior change. So I say, let's flip the script. Let's stop these useless traffic programs and use the savings to buy everyone greenhouse gas-free UFOs. That's my very simple solution. But since no one takes good, fiscally responsible advice here are a few of the future driving controls featured in this item. Lakeside Avenue is being reduced to 35 miles per hour, and Riverside Avenue is being reduced to 40 miles per hour. Add that to the countless list of streets all over the county that have had speed limits reduced. I wonder if a day will come when the speed limits are reduced so much to the point that walking will be faster than driving. Now that might incentivize people to stop driving. Nobody tell the federal government that I found a cheap alternative. Only a little over $8,300 for these traffic signs. Very conservative, very totalitarian. The only thing I don't understand about the school day sign pushers from the Vallecito School District is how they say that afternoon commuters use 5th Street as a detour to avoid a crowded freeway. So because commuters are not stopping, they're in full speeding away mode. What's the point or the significance of the no stopping 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. school day signs? By the time the commuters see it, they'll be long gone anyway. I do agree with the blinking pedestrian signs for the school zone, while I disagree with controls to de-incentivize driving. And Beekman, it's county government, not city government. You need to pay attention. Aren't you supervisors happy? What a very short meeting, right? You guys get to go home. Lucky you. You're lucky I didn't come there in person. I had more fun.
Thank you. Your time is up. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on this item.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve? Second?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right. Seeing none, please vote.
And Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present voting aye.
Thank you. Next up would be non-agenda public comment. We've taken all public comment already. So with that, I want to just say thank you so much for all the work that everyone's done, and our meeting is adjourned.
The next regular meeting of the board will take place on Tuesday, July 18th at 9 a.m.